instead of the Alistar if you really want to. Or you can still go for the Alistar, because realistically, Alistar has a pretty good matchup into the Rell regardless. But I do think that Rell has more team fight presence than Alistar, just because of the ult combo that you can pull off. And now on the side of eStar, I want to see something a little bit different coming out from them. You've already got your jungler. Maybe just lock in your bot lane 2v2 here and look towards a second phase to go for your solo laners. But in terms of the actual composition, I want to see something different. I wasn't necessarily averse to the Xayah, but I'm not a huge fan of the Rakan.
Neither am I. And though Xayah Rakan has been slowly creeping their way back into the meta, the Xayah is a little bit safer. It's the fact that you have that self-peel for yourself. Rakan, while being okay, it's not as good as, say, that Alistar, who can not only engage, but survive a lot of that dive that he's trying to accomplish. I do like this, though. Zoom grabbing Camille to be able to counter that Gnar that was picked blind by ZS. And so we're seeing a difference in the top lane. Instead of it being ZS getting this early lead, it's going to be Zoom being able to exert a lot of pressure that way.
And this is pre-nerf Camille. This is 11.3 right here, so Zoom has the potential to really pop off. Immediately, bans start going towards Rat. They didn't lock in the AD carry, so the Xayah is taken off of the board. When you think about Rat towards that bottom side, be thinking about, I mean, Kai says he's most played alongside the Xayah, and then everything else is just a singular pick. It's actually going to be a Kalista ban, which
Interesting.
I wouldn't necessarily have expected, but I guess it's just a very strong early lane. It's not something I know Rat for specifically, but certainly something that's quite strong right now. But, you know, things like the Samira open if they do want to try and contest that 2v2. Samira Alistar exceptionally strong in the 2v2, so won't be surprised to see something like that. Or you could lean towards something like a Jhin and try and get a carry for Irma.
Now with that Hecarim being banned away, not going to have that option to be able to dive in the backline. Instead, it's going to be the other Centaur-like creature, Lillia, that I mentioned before. It was banned in the second rotation. Probably going to be the option for Kanavi here, something that can help them with their team fight capabilities that they like to go for, that can follow up something like Rell, since Rell's going to be able to keep them all in one spot. I know you're looking at that pick. I don't know if it's necessarily the pick that they want to go for.
The idea I'm like interested in the Sivir hover is because it's kind of the same as the Jhin pick that I was talking about. It's a utility AD carry that facilitates the rest of your team, but Sivir has this new build with a bit of lethality in there. You can go for the Essence Reaver, and I think you go Duskblade. It's really, really strong in the mid game, but you're still a very good AD carry towards the late stages of the game. Unsurprising to see the Orianna here from Irma. This is by far his most played mid laner. Does very well if you go for this grouped up team fight composition. The Samira I talked about, though, I'd much prefer to see this over the utility AD carry, but I do like the Sivir over the Jhin, because at least you do still offer the late game AD carry threat. You do still offer a lot of strong team fighting. So they've really, really committed to the 5v5 this time, more so than last time. They have frontline, they have hard engage. And a Lucian locked in as the final pick here. Yagao going AD in the mid lane and finding himself a nice matchup.
I mean, technically, there could still be that last-minute flex Lucian bot lane, Tristana mid lane. More than likely, you're shaking your head. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's going to be Loken onto Tristana. It's Yagao onto Lucian, something that can put a lot of pressure back into Orianna in that laning phase.
Yeah, I like where you're going with it, and Tristana to Orianna sounds great, but Lucian bot lane these days is it's a bit of a yikes. So the Tristana going to be going there, and especially Tristana Rell is just so terrifying to play against. I'm excited for that bottom lane, but once again, got to keep your eyes on Rat here. Rat has to survive the laning phase. Expect JDG to try and pressure and try and get down towards that side of the map once more.
But this composition out of eStar, far more leaning into the side of being a team fight composition. Front to back with an Orianna and a Sivir, utilizing the ball mechanics with Alistar, with Udyr, with Gnar. You have so many different people that can deliver it, as well as on the hunt from Sivir to movement speed that just zip them right into the back line to jump on top of Loken, jump on top of Yagao, maybe even jump on top of Kanavi before you're going to be able to get the lilting lullaby off.
Yeah, if they're going to be able to get on top, that's going to be the big question. But I will say, with the Sivir, they do have a lot of ability to just pull the trigger and kick a fight off whenever they want. It's the 5v5 that they're looking for. But also, eStar, this is a pretty slow composition. When you think about Sivir and Orianna, they take a while to get into the game. Lucian doesn't. Camille doesn't. She's going to be winning that side lane from the word go. And Tristana, once you get a tiny bit of a lead, you can snowball out of control. eStar stacking up in the jungle, suspecting shenanigans, but JDG aren't going in.
Fight. Go fight. No, don't recall, fight.
Well, if you look at the minimap, JDG are spread out across the entire map, so the odds of them fighting are pretty slim.
Want to fight.
But yeah, once again, though, it's JDG that, when you look compositionally, will have their foot on the accelerator pedal. But I would expect this to be a bit of a slower start to the game. I'm not expecting Yagao TPing bot at level 5 this time around. I'm expecting JDG to look for individual lane advantages, because both Zoom and Yagao have favorable matchups. And the bottom lane, I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert on how this 2v2 specifically goes, because I'm not even sure I've seen this 2v2 pan out before. But I would expect it to go the way of JDG if they can find appropriate all-ins.
Honestly, Rat and the ShiauC should just be playing for wave clear. You push out the waves and you back off. You don't go anywhere further than that. You don't try to get plates. You don't try to fight against Loken and LvMao. I feel like that's what you want to do in this lane. At least personally, just whenever I see a Sivir lane, I'm like, okay, yeah, you push minions and you leave. That's it.
To be fair, Sivir has actually, I think, better all-in than a lot of people give her credit for. Nice knock up there from ShiauC. That's exactly what we're going to see. We talked about this early on in the draft, right? Alistar in the lane has a very good match with Rell, can completely deny the crash down. When the Q is available for Sivir, she actually does pretty well in the all-ins. The important thing for Sivir, and I think a lot of people don't understand this, is your Q needs to be just hitting the enemy that you're trying to damage, right? The more things it goes through, the less damage it does, but the first thing it hits, it does the most damage too. So if you can get an isolated target with that Q, that's when Sivir actually has good all-in potential and can really follow up on an engage.
Did you know that Sivir has AP scalings?
I did know that.
It's one of my favorite builds. Oh, not at all, but it's so fun to be able to play sometimes, and you surprise people with the fact that, like you said, the isolated damage will just demolish someone if it hits them, and you're like, wait, where's that damage coming from?
You also surprise your team with the fact that you don't actually want to win the game.
Hey,
Things like AP Sivir.
Hey, I win once in a while, okay? Like, you know.
Look, I'm not saying that flaming is ever justified, but AP Sivir is one of those situations where I think there's an argument to be made. Okay. Kanavi going to be able to go for this top scuttle here, and they're just going to be handshaking as Hacker goes towards the bottom side. I'm amazed Kanavi got past that ward. That ward looks like it's covering the entire river, but Kanavi was able to sneak through at the edge of vision there.
Yeah, you know what? That is actually very sneaky. I thought that for sure he was going to be spotted out as Camille going to be able to use that Pheromounty crash down to be able to escape that one. ShiauC not able to interrupt that one since it was the first to pull the trigger. That's kind of how the Alistar Rell works. It's whoever the first to pull the trigger is, it's like, yeah, sure, you can get the headbutt pulverized off, but afterwards she can escape. Or if she's the first one to engage, as you saw before, going to be able to stop that right now. I feel like most lanes except top lane are going to be that handshaking lane. It's like, we clear out the minion waves, even though Yagao does want to be able to fight against Irma. Irma's playing Orianna. You want to be able to farm up a bit, get some items scaled up, so that way you're going to be more of a threat later on.
Yeah, Zoom's got Omnistone in the top lane as well, by the way, which is, I don't know. I think most LPL viewers at this point know my opinions of Omnistone. It's kind of similar to my opinion of AP Sivir, honestly. It's not great,
one of those things is good. Ish. Let me have this.
And it ain't AP Sivir.
Let me have
So the logic behind Omnistone on Camille here is that basically there is no specific rune that you need to run. And especially against Gnar, you're not necessarily going to be able to get all of the grass procs off you want during the laning phase. So it just gives you the opportunity to rotate between aggressive runes and find multiple situations where you can use and abuse those runes without it being so one-dimensional. Like, for example, he has Hail of Blades right now, so he can go for an all-in.
Getting a lot of damage as well, but it's going to be the stomp away from ZS, trying to escape. Has a lot of damage, but Hacker's nearby, but it's going to be first blood still for Kanavi.
Beautifully done here by JDG. Zoom starts the fight off, gets a bunch of burst, and then kind of lays off for Kanavi to finish the fight. No way on earth that a mini Gnar with no flash can run away from Bambi. She's too damn quick with the passive, so they're able to just chase that one down. And it's an important kill for Kanavi as well, because it means that he's going to be a lot stronger here on the Lillia. When you start to get ahead is Lillia, it becomes very difficult for the opponent to deal with the amount of everything that she has in her kit.
Yeah, pretty much you're going to be able to have that burn, depending if we're going to see the Moonstone Renewer, or if we're going to actually see damage right now. Hacker and Kanavi both hanging around this top lane, and Zoom got to be a bit more careful there. Despite the fact you had that level advantage, not much mana to be able to fight back, so Kanavi instead going to be able to leave that top lane, get the Scuttle Crab, get the advantage continuing for JDG in this early game.
Yeah, and Hacker, I think some people at home may be wondering why he's abandoning the Scuttle Crab when theoretically he could probably 1v1 a Lillia, right? The reason behind that is A, Kanavi's level 6, he's only level 5, but B, Zoom has TP, so do have a bit of a TP2 there, but Loken
Yagao too, pushing mid lane. There's so many reasons to back out of that one, try to make a play elsewhere. Unfortunately for Hacker, it just seems reminiscent of game 1, where this Udyr is struggling to really make a mark on the map. Every lane isn't really in a position to be able to back you up. You see, Yagao was already able to rotate after pushing hard mid lane, so that Hacker is losing his own jungle.
Yeah, Kanavi's just stealing the red buff away while everyone's here. ShiauC's engaged though.
For that one as well. The flash comes in from Rat to be able to survive, but that is the sacrifice of the bull. Hacker going to be able to get away from that one as well, though Rat is pretty low. Calling use, and that is Yagao getting the kill underneath the turret. Hacker is saying, oh, please, leave me alone. I don't want this. I don't need this. Don't dive me. Please, please. We know where this is going.
Yeah, there's nowhere to go, Hacker. He's completely doomed. He's going to be stunned.
Oh,
actually,
okay.
Irma gets him out.
Yep.
Nice.
Irma was able to save Private Hacker there, get him out of that one. But still, the flash being blown, you're losing plate spot lane. It's not looking like a good game so far for Hacker or for the rest of eStar.
Yeah, this is brutal already. So, I mean, eStar kind of messed this one up, right? We saw everyone from JDG grouping around the bottom side of the map. Like, what happened in game number 1? They go for these early dives and try and get their bot lane ahead. And then ShiauC tries to contest this tribe rush when you know that this Fed Kanavi is right around the corner and Yagao's roaming down. Like, ShiauC, I don't know what the play is there. I don't know what you expected from that one. And then Yagao just culling under tower. Rat just did absolute shambles at that point. But, yeah, I don't know. eStar, they needed to just play that one defensive. Just stay underneath the tower. If ShiauC's alive, it's very difficult for JDG to dive that one. Alistar's really good in those tower dive situations, but unfortunately, eStar playing it a little too boldly.
That was a very long take to gift over that blue buff. Sorry to point that one out. It's just unfortunate that both Irma and Hacker had like no mana to really get that quickly, and they were trying to rely on the clockwork windup out of Irma, which sure does a bit of damage, but not enough. I mean, I guess it's a good analogy for the rest of this game. It's just they feel like they don't have anything left in the tank to be able to fight back this early on. They're trying to at least get something, but you have plays like this. It's a 2v2 essentially in the bot lane. They got so much damage on ShiauC. He doesn't even have level 6. That's how early they're able to find these fights and try to see if they can burn down eStar in any lane. Well, Yagao is going to be able to get away from this one, utilizing the culling to get a bit of damage on Irma in a 1v2.
And this is every single gank from Hacker so far. They just walk away. Here we go. Dive coming through.
That's a death. And there's going to be a second one onto Rat here. There it is. Double kill for Loken. 2v2 dive. That's not the play that you really want, unfortunately. The 2v2 dive happening pretty easily. Hopefully, we're going to be able to get some things fixed here. Right now, it's just me. You got me, so it's going to be fine. Right now, ZS got to be a bit careful in that top lane. Not really looking too hot for eStar here at only 10 minutes into the game, a 3,000 gold deficit to start this one off. Kraken Slayer's already complete. Oh my goodness, that is a early mythic completed out of Loken. If that lane wasn't already difficult enough for Rat and ShiauC, where they were getting dove by just Loken and LvMao, don't see it going any better for them. They're gonna probably get dove over and over again. Hell, I would say, Rat, don't even bother. Leave that lane. It's not yours anymore. Try to fight for something like the Rift Herald. Give over the Infernal Dragon. Give over whatever they want in the bot lane, because you're not going to be able to get much. LvMao's already in the top lane, trying to be able to help out Zoom, who's right now at the moment going relatively even against ZS. But I don't think it's going to really hurt them in the long run, having this Camille not necessarily dominating the Gnar, because they have this domination from the bottom half of the map. They already got Loken 2-0-2 on this Tristana. This Sivir Alistar lane that wanted to be able to just hold on. They didn't want to lose out. They didn't really want to win out either. They wanted to be able to have this isolated 2v2 that didn't have anyone join in. That never really happened. And so now they're waiting it out, trying to be able to get the Sivir to be able to complete some items, get that Essence Reaver, get anything really to have some sort of decent amount of damage that they can output in a fight, as Irma gonna be able to escape from Yagao. They don't know exactly where Hacker is in that jungle, so it's smart of the Lucian not to be able to continue that fight. Instead, Kanavi getting a Rift Herald soloed out, not having to deal with that at all. I'm just gonna constantly be talking, by the way, until I know whether Muncher is back or not. Oh, you're back! He's back. I can hear you. Hopefully the audience can hear you. Okay. The audience can now hear Joe. He's here.
I'm officially back. Ta-da! It was a magic trick. My mic magically decided not to work for a second. Apologies about that one, everyone.
It's okay. It happens.
But hey, you did a perfect job. Your first ever cast the LPL, and you're incredible. Round of applause, everyone in chat. And you know what? That's not the only kind of clapping that we've got going on, because this is an easy clap here from JDG so far. 3,000 gold lead. We're 12 minutes in. I said they needed to... Well, not needed. I said that they were probably going to play this one a little slower. I said that, you know, maybe this one's a bit more of a handshake the lady phase and figure it out from there. No. JDG, they just want to get this series over with.
See, there's a difference between playing it slow and the difference between trying to go into a drag race with a tricycle. And that feels like what eStar have tried to do in this one. They're way far behind because, of course, they're not going to be able to keep up with an actual racing car when they're pedaling, you know, a tricycle that's not going to be going more than, what, like 5 miles per hour if they're lucky?
Yeah, I mean, look, tricycles have never been particularly the ultimate racing utensil. I don't know if utensil's the right word there, but
it's a utensil now.
The tricycle from eStar. They just need more wheels, man. Why would you ride something with only 3 wheels? It's 2 wheels or 4 wheels. Those are the rules in League of Legends, okay? Tricycle ain't cutting it.
What is that one car? There's like a car that is a tricycle, and that if it turns too hard to any direction, it'll flop over.
That's the Robin Reliant.
Yeah, see, I'm glad you knew what I was talking about, because I've seen it before. I'm like, this is that's a car. So right now, the Rift Herald popped into the bot lane. Wait, what were you going to say, Joe?
Since this is just going to be like there's no contest, right? The tower goes down. I'm going to tell you guys about Robin Reliance. So they're actually banned now. They got completely outlawed. The reason that car was popular, it's a 3-wheeler car. Just Google Robin Reliant and you'll be able to see it. There's a really great Top Gear episode of Jeremy Clarkson like slamming around corners in a Robin Reliant and flipping the car. But the reason they were so popular is because technically they didn't count as cars. They fell under the same category as motorbikes, so tax was a lot cheaper and it was way easier. You could drive it without a license technically. So
hold on, Zoom's just
wrong
dead.
reasons to buy a car. There's a fight in the top lane.
He's dead.
I'm just gonna keep talking about Robin Reliance. But yeah, they're banned now. They were actually terrible cars. They were really unsafe. I'm glad they're gone, but cool little bit of history.
Cool bit of history, as Zoom is history in that top lane. That turret probably going to die once the minions are able to crash back in. Giving a little bit more gold to eStar. They're desperately in need of any bit of change they can get for themselves. Unfortunately, they weren't even able to get the turret. Trying to see if they can escape from both Kanavi and LvMao, as bot lane not really getting much for themselves. ZS trying to be able to scale it. Play-ulting Lullaby, not going to be able to go mega. Instead, it's just one simple auto attack going to be able to get the kills. LvMao is taking the turret for way too long, so it's a 1-for-1 trade. Yagao on the other side. Does he want to go for the dive instead? Looking to see if they can chase down ShiauC, knowing that that's going to be the easy kill, get the easy cut of beef for themselves. Even with at least the Unchained, that's a lot of damage. Shockwave not really doing too much to be able to deny them, since Zoom was able to show back up in the fight with that ultimatum. Knocked him down, killed him off with one slice and dice, and that is 2 kills for solely 1.
Yeah, the big problem that we're consistently seeing with eStar is like Irma's Orianna, for example. That was a great shockwave in theory. The problem is there's no, it's too late by the time that shockwave comes off. And you know, one of the clips that we showed at the start of today was of Irma getting a shockwave similar to that one. That's like, hey, look, that's a really good shockwave, but it's just too late. It's too little. It's not enough during these fights. And it feels like that's just constantly the way for eStar, as we saw. ZS starting to fight off, like Zoom does get taken out here. It's just way overextended, and it's a great CC chain from eStar. But it's the skirmish that follows that when they're overextended in the top lane. JDG are happy to punish you.
And it's pretty easy. I feel like LvMao wanted to be able to get a bit more. Unfortunately, you gotta respect the lockdown potential of an Udyr, but it really doesn't matter because the team's so far ahead. You see how ShiauC, it feels reminiscent to what we saw before, where he wanted to be able to go in, dive in for the team, but there's no one nearby. You mentioned Irma Shockwave. What are they doing if they don't have the team to back them up?
Yeah, I mean, Irma was a little bit too late to the play, and you know, he was trying to salvage an already lost situation on that one. You can see Yagao's moved to the bottom side of the map, though. Once again from JDG, they can set up this 1-3-1. This time around, they don't need to. They don't have the Twisted Fate in the same way, so it's not so much about the picks. Like with a Lucian here, you can just brute force fights. And ZS is going to do that in the bottom side.
You might be able to get that one. I almost was able to get the 1-for-1 kill. But unfortunately, all the while, JDG get themselves yet another turret. This time it's the tier 1 mid lane to open up a lot of the jungle of Hacker. And this is going to be the name of the game for the side of JDG. It's just kind of making sure they can get the gold into the right places like they did in the last game. Utilize this mid game maybe a bit cleaner than they did last time around, because they have such a massive lead for so many members. You can even see like charting out who's got mythics completed and when. Kanavi was able to get that mythic well before Hacker. I think that was, what, 1,200 gold lead for Kanavi over Hacker. It was a 2,000 gold lead for Loken over Rat. You have the gold in the right places so far.
Yeah, it's feeling real good right now for JDG. I mean, what, 5,000 gold ahead? Almost 6, in fact. Like, this is one of those kind of games where I'm not too worried about talking about the win conditions in the league, because it's so one-sided right now in favor of JDG, and they're just gonna hit with the wallets.
Yeah, hey, look at that. Bam! Just immediately smacked them both. It's, what can you do for me, eStar? You just die.
Well, the answer is not try and face check onto the Herald. You don't get to contest this Herald eStar. This is not something that is on your menu right now. It's like going to a restaurant and there's like 3 sections to the menu. One of them's starters, one of them's main courses, and one of them's desserts. And you've only got a $5. Look, I know you want a main course, but you just can't afford it. Settle for the chicken wings. That's all you're getting today. eStar, they don't realize that. They still try and go for that main course, but they are snapped up and taken down and kicked out of the restaurant because they didn't pay for their meal.
I was about to say, I feel like if you only have a $5, you just get the free bread, you wait it out, you hold on to that $5, and then next time you go to the restaurant, when you have a second $5, you have $10. Then you can afford more. So just kind of wait it out. Hold on to the bread while you can, because, like you mentioned, you just got nothing in your wallet.
I will say, I think that the free bread is a particularly American characteristic of restaurants. I don't think you get as much infinite free bread elsewhere in the world, but
I'm not saying infinite free bread. I'm just saying any free bread at this point, because maybe this is the time that they've been able to save up. It looked like they might have had to pick on LvMao, but Irma's a bit too late. The flash comes in, and they've lost ZS. Jumping in on top of Irma. He's locked into the ultimatum, so Yagao's going to be able to get a lot of damage onto him. They lose the mid laner, calling, tanked up by ShiauC, but the jump comes in from Loken. He doesn't have any mana, but it doesn't really matter, does it? They finally are able to take down one, but they've lost everyone else. Rat barely able to scurry away from the fight. 1-4-4 trade.
And you know what? They thought that they'd seen a delicious piece of bread there, but it was just a dried up old crust from last week. It was a little bit moldy, it was a little bit stale, and it was an easy fight win for JDG. They managed to get the pick onto Loken, but it cost them 4 players, so it's probably not worth it at the end of the day. Because guess what? Kanavi's got a herald for the top lane, Zoom can push in the bottom lane, while the rest of JDG pushes the mid lane. It needs a TP from ZS to answer. They're going to try and force a counterplay.
They're able to get a bit of a slow. They've taken down and gotten some gold into Rat's pocket, so the wallet is shrinking a bit for JDG.
I mean, there's still 8k going up. It's not shrunk that much, but hey,
that's
they
something.
did get themselves... They got something. I'll give you that. They did get something. I just... I've lost faith in eStar at this point in the game. But hey, look, eStar, they haven't lost faith. They're going for Baron.
I mean, I guess Yagao's gone for a while. They feel confident. There's the TP coming in from Zoom, but how fast? Look how long it's taking them to take down this Baron. That JDG are just taking the wards the entire time. They're like, we don't even need to worry about this. This is going to take them years to actually be able to get this. Oh, poor ShiauC. He's like, please, guys, let's focus on the objective. LvMao in with a huge 5-man magnetic storm. They're ripping apart the side of eStar. They can't fight back 4v5, and they've lost.
Womp, womp. That was eStar's last ditch effort right there. You could see LvMao next to the wall charging the Hex Splash, and you already knew it was over before it began. Easy fight for JDG. Kanavi's here. They'll grab themselves this Baron. And with a Baron and a fed Tristana and everything else that they've got going for them, I think that's probably just going to be game on this one. I think there'll be one more fight, but I don't think there's any realistic way for eStar to get back into this one. 12,000 gold is the deficit. Is JDG absolutely stomp this game?
I wouldn't call these fights, Munch. I would call these beatings. These are not looking good for the side of eStar. JDG have such a commanding lead over the map at the moment. I don't see that there's going to be anything that can stop them as you look at this replay.
Yeah, beautiful engage from LvMao, able to just get the entire team on in, gets the stuns across, and again, great shockwave from Irma. Like, I feel like every single fight I'm consistently saying Irma's shockwaves are great, but there's just nothing else. Like, when that's the only thing hitting the entire team, like, there's not a whole lot to talk about at that point. So, look, honestly, I actually kind of like the attempt from eStar. I like that they tried to go for the Baron play. Like, it was clearly a desperation play. It's clearly like, look, maybe they just don't check. But once you realize they're there, I think you have to just dip and just, I don't know, hope for something else. This one's fallen out of control very dramatically. And I think eStar know it. And so they, you know, like, I like the moxie. I like the gumption to go for that play.
Some chutzpah in from them. It's something to be able to fight back here. As now maybe they can get a pick on Zoom. Trying to be able to escape from that one. The shockwave was used as well. Going to be able to get the ultimatum. Still alive. Hook shot. Get a little bit of distance between them, Hacker, and the rest. JDG still have Zoom alive. And again, the hook shot's back up. They've burned so much to kill the top laner. And what have they gotten? They've gotten absolutely nothing. And when they get home, their base has been ransacked.
Did you kill the top laner? No. What did it cost? Everything. It's a disaster. eStar have been absolutely obliterated here. That's going to be 2 inhibs falling. And now, JDG, if they want, can go for the bottom inhib. You know, last time around, at about this point in the game, we were talking about Ocean Soul. It's a Cloud Drake coming up in 15 seconds, and it's only the 3rd Drake of the game. Like, JDG do not care about the Drake. They might pick it up as a consolation prize, but realistically, JDG do not want this game to last another 5 minutes for them to even consider Soul.
Nope, they're just waiting for the minions bot lane so they can rinse and repeat, get another tier 2, the final one that remains outside of the base. Is Yagao getting chased down by Hacker. I don't know this is gonna go the way you think, Hacker. Even though you have the rest of the team here, you might be able to get the flash. They do take him down and get the kill over for ShiauC, but look, bot lane, what's happening?
Did you get the mid laner? Yep. What did it cost? Everything again. In go JDG. This is going to be the 3rd in here. And you know what? Look, I appreciate that eStar get themselves a pick. Good on yous. But it is going to be the end of going down.
They're
going to 4v5.
And I feel like that's a huge magnetic storm again. And that's another kill again. They have a huge Gnar ult, but is it going to be able to get the kills that they need to? LvMao still alive. They got the jump that they need to. Double kills come in. Even at the fountain, it doesn't matter. Only Hacker is alive. Minions are already primed up and ready to knock down these turrets. Hacker watches on in horror as the game finally ends. They might even try to commit for the dive, though they shouldn't. They got the minions already ready. There it is, game 2 and the series for JDG.
Not even the fountain is safe for eStar. That was brutal from JDG to finish out the series. I said that we could play that one a little bit slower. How wrong I was. My goodness. JDG just turning up the heat and roasting eStar alive. eStar, they just wanted a piece of bread, man. And JDG turn around and bash him over the head with a baguette.
I'm glad you said that. That's exactly what I was thinking too. I was about to say, I'm like, just hit him with a baguette. That's what they did. There wasn't Fiora, but it doesn't matter. Just whack. Just knock him out cold.
Hey, Camille and Fiora have a similar playstyle. Therefore, baguette. Huh?
No, now that you say it, we should get a
maths.
Camille skin that has bread legs. I'm okay with this.
I'm down. I'm down for that. In fact, maybe Camille with her knife legs is the chef that's chopping the baguette. Huh?
There we go.
That's biology right there. So we're covering maths. We're covering biology. You can have Cho'Gath, the gentleman Cho'Gath who reads. That's English. See, we're basically another day at school.
We're getting everything here so far. I mean, maybe even get like, what is it, PE coming in soon because they're gonna be running around and killing people. I don't know. I'm stretching that one. That's a bit of a stretch on that one. Doesn't matter. Let's get back to the actual important things. The 2-0 for JDG. That was a much cleaner performance in game 2. I feel like that's how game 1 should have also been had they not played a little bit loosey-goosey towards that mid-game.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, the entire thing was a bit of a stretch anyway, so I'll forgive you stretching on the final punchline. Yeah, I mean, that one was a bit of a wash. JDG, really, really confident play. But, like, let's just go back to what we asked for from JDG, right? It was that we saw really confident gameplay here today and that we saw them playing decisively. The biggest thing that it felt was lacking across the course of this split so far was that decisive gameplay, working together as a unit, and the clear shot calling felt very directionless to start the split off. And it does feel like in the more recent series, that has started to pick up a bit. Obviously, they did lose against FPX, and it was pretty one-sided. But in the recent series, except for playing one of the best teams in the league, like, they have started to look better. So things are on the up and up for JDG. Whether they're going to be improved enough by the time of playoffs that they can fight for top 4 again, that remains to be seen. But certainly they can celebrate a strong win here against eStar.
Exactly. It was a very convincing win, and being able to... This is what we wanted to. This is what we asked of them coming into the day. We wanted to see them play strong. We wanted to see them play convincingly, especially against a team like eStar. And you can see from that gold graph that it was just pretty much... yeah, that was a bit of a doozy for eStar.
Yeah, bit of a rough one. 25-minute win here for JDG. I mean, just looking at the kill score alone tells you pretty much everything you need to know about this game. 22-5 to round it out. Loken was able to just... I mean, again, they lock in this Tristana, and the whole team of JDG just plays towards the bottom lane. That bot lane dive, I think, exemplifies pretty much everything that happened this game. That was the point at which the game started rolling. Last time around, it was Yagao on the Twisted Fate, TPing down at level 5, the repeat gank with the Destiny at level 6. This time, they didn't even bother with any shenanigans or TPs. That's way too complicated. This time, you just get a Lillia and a Lucian and you just walk at the bottom lane, and eStar were foolish enough to fight them.
And from there, it pretty much spiraled out of control. It was later on, after that play, Loken and LvMao were able to get a 2v2 dive by themselves and get both the kills, walk away. That's the thing that's crazy to me, is that it was only one play that allowed them to be able to get that far ahead with this Tristana Rell lane, where Sivir and Alistar, who kind of wanted to play it a bit more patiently, kind of waited out, never got that chance to.
Yeah, It was in the late game as well. We got to see 2 plays back to back where eStar are like, all right, let's punish whoever's split pushing while the rest of the map is destroyed by the whole squad of JDG. And it was like, the first time it happens, all right, fair enough. You kind of got outplayed, unlucky. But then the second time it happened, it was like, we just did this. Like, were you not there when this happened to you literally 2 minutes ago? Like, am I watching a different game to you're playing, or what is going on here? So a bit unfortunate, to be quite honest, there from eStar and JDG. I mean, you said it best. They were running rings around them. It was like very much a physical education class. eStar.
Haha, we brought it back. We did it. Well, you did it. You're the one who actually figured out how to make that joke work.
Hey, you laid the foundation. I built the house.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll take credit then. But looking at this game, it's like, it's also hard. Similar to how in game 1, we were trying to figure out what we would consider the MVP. I feel like there's not one player that really was just like, this is the defining player, the most valuable player. Everyone on the side of JDG played well.
Yeah, I would say probably it wouldn't surprise me at all if they gave it to Kanavi again. I think maybe they'll give it to Loken this time because he got a bunch of kills on Tristana, and that's often how our MVPs work here. I mean, you could give it to Zoom. There is merit to anyone, but honestly, LvMao's Rell, I think, is the one that's going to clinch it because multiple times in this game we saw massive magnet storms coming out from LvMao. Great Hex Flash when the Baron play was happening, being able to get into the midst of everyone, pull everyone in with the magnet storm, and set up the fight for the team. So I think ultimately it will probably be LvMao, but I think there's a reasonable argument to be made for pretty much anyone on JDG when it's this one-sided.
It's difficult to say one way or another, honestly. I loved that magnetic storm, like you said, being able to get all 5 members, and that was a 4v5 fight too. Sure, you have a massive lead, but being able to win that decisively when it's a 4v5, they didn't lose anybody in that fight. At least you'd expect one person to die in an uneven fight, yet somehow they still managed to kill everyone, immediately turn to the Baron because that's how far ahead they were.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that eStar took the fight right at the Baron as well was like, okay,
I know.
You've kind of given them this one on a platter, haven't you? That was one of those moments where it's like, oh, okay. But again, like the Baron play from eStar, I actually don't hate. Like, I don't want to rag on eStar too much for the Baron play because it was like, look, we've already lost. The game is essentially over. Now it's like, what can we do right now to give ourselves one lifeline, to give ourselves the potential of a miracle play that turns the game around, right? They put themselves in the right position to maybe find that. It didn't work out. The odds of it working out were incredibly slim, but I like that they were making the effort to try and make that miracle play.
So we do have our MVP. It is going to be LvMao. I mean, like we were saying, there's an argument that could have been made for anybody, but I feel like what really sealed the deal in this game was that Rell performance was disgusting. You have the 2v2 dive bot lane, the 5-man magnet storm. It was such a great performance coming in from LvMao.
And this is why they prioritized the Rell over the Alistar. We talked about how the lane matchup actually favors Alistar, but when it comes to the team fights, when you need that snap hard engage, Rell is just insane. And it's the same kind of vibe that Rakan used to have, right? Where you can just suddenly fly into the fight and suddenly CC the entire squad. It's a similar thing with what Rell can do right now, where I'm hoping they show us the play where he Hex flashes over the wall. But regardless, these magnet storms onto everyone, followed by the knockups. Kanavi can follow up with this sleep as well. It's really beautiful to see, and I think LvMao, one of the better Rells. This is the play I was talking about. Hex flashes over the wall, magnet storm to pull everyone in. And there's very little you can do to respond if you're eStar in that situation.
I mean, and like you said, there was a great shockwave from Irma, but it was too late. There's not much there that was going to help with that answer to be able to fight back. Everyone was dead by the time you got the 4-man shockwave. The 5-man magnet storm was greater. We've learned that if you're able to get all members, it's better than getting most of the members.
And that's the thing about the 4-man shockwave, right? Is yes, you got a 4-man shockwave, but there was only 4 of them. So it's impossible to get a 5-man shockwave. What were you thinking about? You fool.
That is fair, that is fair. It's impossible when you kind of contemplate it like that. It's like how you know you can never give up a pentakill if you just AFK in the base. It's impossible at that point.
He needs to go back to the maths class. That's all I'll say. But I think we've got an interview.